It was supposed to be the happiest day in the village of Arimu. The day Princess Adesewa of Ifelagba would marry Prince Damilare, heir to the Odu throne. The air smelled of roasted yam and palm wine, drums pounded, dancers twirled in gold. Even the sun hung above the royal courtyard as if it came to bless their love. But behind the smiles, shadows whispered. For months, the palace servants spoke of a curse that whoever joined the royal blood of Odu with another kingdoms would invite the wrath of the gods. The king ignored the warnings. He wanted peace, not prophecy. And in the middle of the crowd stood Moroke, Adesewa's childhood friend and Damilare's secret lover. She had begged him not to go through with the wedding. He had promised he wouldn't. But love and power, they never shared the same bed. As the wedding began, Adesewa's hands trembled slightly while lifting the cup of palm wine to offer her groom. She smiled through her veil. Damilare took the cup and drank. A breath later, his body stiffened. The drums stopped. His eyes went wide. Then, he fell. Chaos. Blood spilled. The prince dead before her feet. And there, by the corner of the stage, the cup rolled, stopping at Moronke's feet. Poison! Someone screamed. She killed the prince! Moronke was dragged away. Adesewa collapsed beside her husband's body, her white gown soaked in palm wine and blood. But deep inside her breaking heart, she whispered, this was not her doing. They thought the wedding had ended, but it had only just begun. 3 nights after the tragedy, the royal palace was silent. Mourning wrapped around every wall. The king refused to eat. The queen wept herself into madness. And Adesewa, she didn't sleep. Each night, she sat beside the sealed coffin, whispering to the prince she once called her forever. But something was wrong. The body hadn't decayed. The guards swore they heard footsteps outside the royal tomb. Meanwhile, Moronke was chained in the dungeon, her eyes hollow, her spirit unbroken. When Adesewa visited her, Moronke whispered, I didn't kill him. You did. Adesewa froze. What do you mean? Moronke smiled faintly. Ask your father about the wine, about the prophecy he buried. The truth began to unravel. The king had switched the ceremonial wine at the last minute to test the god's warning. But someone else had switched it again. Who? Why? And for what price? That night, lightning struck the palace gates. The royal tomb cracked open, and from the shadows, footsteps echoed. The dead do not walk, but someone was walking toward her window. Adesewa opened her eyes. She thought it was a dream. Adesewa? She froze. It was his voice. Prince Damilare stood before her, pale, cold, but breathing. Adesewa shaking. They buried you. How are you here? Damilare, they buried the wrong man. He told her of betrayal, of poison meant not for him but for her, the princess. That someone within the palace had plotted to end her bloodline and claim the throne through chaos. And worse, Moroke wasn't a villain. She was the warning. The king's advisor had bribed a guard to poison the wine, but the guard mixed the cups. And now, the dead prince had returned, not as a ghost, but as a man with vengeance in his heart. He asked Adesewa to flee before dawn, to leave the kingdom before the truth consumed them both. But love is not so simple. As they escaped through the forest, the king's guards surrounded them, spears raised. King furious, you defied the gods, you brought the curse.
When the dust settled, the king lay wounded, and Damilare vanished again into the mist. Some say he died that night, others say he still walks, waiting for the gods' justice. The wedding ended in blood, but the story never ended. Because in Aremu, the dead don't rest, they remember.